Now, the Premier League preview usually happens on a Monday, but today, because Liverpool were playing last night, we held it over until Tuesday morning. And before I go any further, my two guests, of course, are John Giles and Liam Brady, which is always a pleasure and an honour for the stand. Just to say, as I'm sure many of you have been saying to yourselves, what a brilliant documentary about Liam Brady was transmitted by RT last night, 25-10, just after the Liverpool match. It was superb and gave a lovely insight into Liam as a person and into his career as a footballer, principally at Arsenal in London and with Juventus. It was a marvellous piece of work. And he and RT in this instance, and Sean Casey, who was the person who helped Liam make it, they all deserve great, great credit. Now, Liam, I'll start with you because it was your birthday yesterday. Arsenal-Brentford on Saturday. Brentford got an equaliser with 15 minutes to go. Ivan Toney scored again. And Arsenal were coming off a defeat at Goodison Park against Everton, who can't beat anybody these days. But the match, I thought, was ruined because there was a VAR intervention that should have happened and it didn't. First of all, tell me about your impression of Arsenal's performance at Goodison and again against Brentford. Have they got a bit twitchy?
They have, Eamon. Yeah, a bit jittery. I was going to use the word jittery. At Everton, we've already spoken about it. I thought we were bullied out of it, Everton were up for it, new manager, Sean Dyche, and so forth. Against Brentford, you'd have to say Brentford played very well. It could have been 1, even 2 up at half-time. Arsenal, the two centre-backs, Gabriel and Saliba, they got knocked about by Ivan Toney. You mentioned him. Our goalkeeper, Ramsdale, looked a bit shaky. But they came on well in the second half. You have to say Arsenal played. You have to give them an awful lot of credit they went the way about it in the second half. They pressed, played some really good football, and got a lovely goal when Trossard scored from a Saka cross. And you kind of thought, well, that might be good enough. Brentford in the second half weren't the same threat they were in the first half. But set pieces, Arsenal looked jittery. We didn't get the ball clear on the Brentford goal. And I was at the match, Eamon. I couldn't see whether it was offside or not. But, it's absolutely ridiculous that the people who've got to make the call in these decisions are getting it so wrong.
It was offside, as I'm sure you know. Now.
In general, you would say Brentford were very much worth their point. And actually, it was a good point for Arsenal because they could have got beaten. However, to get it so wrong, it's quite ridiculous.
Yeah, John, I'm sure you saw the match then. I'm sure you'd agree with me that when Toney scored that goal, he was offside and there was another Brentford player also offside. And that's unforgivable when you have the facility to give the correct decision.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, Eamon. They didn't do the lines, as they say.
Yeah. Didn't draw the lines, yeah.
And in another match as well.
The Crystal Palace-Brighton match, it happened.
This is ridiculous. The people up there looking at that. I mean, it shouldn't be a difficult job for people who are supposed to be doing it, Eamon.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. It was very bad. It's 2 matches like that for the people who are in charge of the technology. That's only technology, Eamon, that they should be doing. That's their job to do it. And it could be very, very, very serious for Arsenal, particularly in the run, when they get into the run-in. Yeah,
you've seen them twice now, back-to-back weeks, John. We all have, actually. Everton away, they lost, and Everton were on a very bad run at the time. But it was Sean Dyche's first game, and the first game for the new coach sometimes produces electric performances. But Liam thought they were twitchy in both games, and it is getting to that point in the season. They have Manchester City now, back-to-back games almost. They have them on Wednesday night, and then they play them, I think, in a fortnight. So they'll probably be the decisive games. What was your take on the game against Brentford, the way they played?
Well, the last two games, they haven't played as well as they can play. And in the long run, we'll see as a twitchy or it just happens like that. Over a long period of time, you're not going to be playing well every week. Everton particularly were playing, in a manner that they haven't played for a long time. And I think they caught Arsenal on the hop on that. So, it does happen. Then the manager has to get a grip of it in this particular stage on Eamon.
Yeah.
To say, well, this is what we have to do. We've had a couple of matches, haven't been good results. Every team goes through it.
Yes.
And it depends now how they react to the two matches that they haven't played well in and haven't had good results.
Right. Liam, I must say, I watched the Saturday game. I watched it on Match Today. That young lad, Nketiah, I thought he still played well. And one of the things I've learned about him is he isn't just a goal scorer. He's a good footballer, isn't he? And he's a young guy. I think he's really going to be a player.
Well, he receives it well, Eamon, and he's quick and he turns good on the ball and he links up. I'd rather have Jesus in the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he gives you something. He gives you something a bit more than Eddie Nketiah.
Yes.
Eddie's has done really, really well to. For a young kid to have the responsibility of standing in for Jesus and do so well, you've got to give him enormous credit. But I'm really looking for the game that Jesus comes back, because I think he can give the team a tremendous lift if we get him back in the next couple of weeks, which they're saying now it's 2 to 3 weeks he's away from playing.
Now, Trossard, they bought him for Brighton. I think he's a very good player at Brighton. He only took a few minutes on the pitch at the weekend to score Arsenal's first goal. He'd only been on the pitch a while, and he looks a very good player. Does he catch your eye?
He does, Eamon. Yeah, I think he's got great, control ability. He can take players on, and I think bringing him on in the last 20, 25 minutes when defenders are getting a bit tired, especially when you've been defending as much as Brentford were in the second half. Like a player like Trossard coming on can make the hell of a difference. He did it against United, if you remember, when Arsenal beat United 3-2 a couple of weeks ago. So I think he's been a good buy. Yes, so happy with him.
Now, John, Arsenal play Manchester City tomorrow night. I think it's at the Emirates, and then they play them in a fortnight's time. I think 2 games very close together. This will be mentally a big test for Arsenal, and we know that despite their 3-1 victory against a Villa team that never really appeared on Sunday, they were hopeless. They're not exactly playing out of the skin, City, but this is massive for Arsenal, isn't it? For their heads.
Yeah, but for both teams, Eamon, it could decide it. Two matches, you got 6 points at stake there, Eamon. It could decide the league at this particular stage of the season. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So there'll be terrific matches for both teams, or very important matches for both teams, Eamon. But as you say with City, Villa didn't turn up. They played a bit in the second half, Eamon.
Yeah.
City didn't have to be good, even to beat them. I was surprised at Villa that they didn't make any great effort at all, really. City, as we know, scored in the first few minutes, got 3 at half time, and it was all over. The Villa didn't turn up.
Now, I'll ask you first, John, because I'm not sure if Liam saw the game. What did you make of Haaland's performances? You've seen the last 2 or 3 of them, and I've seen the last 2 or 3 of them. I mean, he has scored 25 goals in the Premier League alone, and 4 hat-tricks. Has he made City a better team? Is a question that Didi Hammam has asked, and Didi's answer is no, for reasons that make sense in a footballing way, because he needs the ball, I believe, delivered early. He's making the runs. He's a terrific young guy. He's all smiles. He loves when his mates score. There's nothing selfish about him. But the way they play, John, doesn't seem, to my eye, to suit Haaland.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, Eamon, it's not Haaland's fault.
No, it's not at all. They take too long to get the ball there.
But you'd have to say, he scored 10 goals more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Harry Kane. You have to go with what it is. You can't. It'd be very difficult to say. I would find it very difficult to say no. He's not good for City.
Well, let me give you a statistic. City have scored 2 goals more this season than they had at the same point last season. Now, what does that tell you? Even with this great young goal scorer, they've only scored 2 more goals. So something isn't working that worked last year.
I don't know. I'd have to say, Eamon, that I think City don't get the ball to them as quickly as they should.
Right.
When they get the ball in the middle of the field, they're playing sideways, and sideways. And you see him, he's making runs.
Yes.
And they're not giving it
exactly.
to him. So it's not his fault.
No, I'm not blaming him.
The managers, well, what the argument or the discussion is are they better off without him or than they were last year? That's what we're talking about now, I believe. That's what we're talking about. You know?
Okay.
But he scored more goals than anybody else. Scored 10 goals more than, and I think he's doing the job that he was brought to do.
Yes, absolutely.
So far, he scored the goals. That's what he was brought to do. He has done that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and
now,
I totally
City can
agree
do
with
better
that.
with what Guardiola should be concentrating on is the players in the midfield who are doing what they're doing, which is not right and delivering the ball early to them.
Right.
They're playing it round, they're giving it back, they're giving it. That's what they're doing, Eamon. And that's what they shouldn't be doing. They should be looking any of the players in midfield. There's none of them doing that.
Exactly.
They're all playing it sideways, plays way. Now Guardiola must be telling them to do that, or that he's not telling them not to do it. Right. That's the argument. I don't think he is the argument.
No.
You know what I mean?
Let me just put it, Liam. De Bruyne has made 15 of those 25 goals, believe it or not. And De Bruyne has been left out of the City's team. He played on Sunday, but he didn't play the week before against, I think Spurs it was, or whoever it was. What do you...
Yeah, it was against Spurs. He didn't play him against Spurs.
Yeah.
He brought him on in the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. What do you make of the whole argument, Liam?
He's just too good to leave out, Eamon.
I'm not suggesting he'd be left out.
Okay. We've had discussions about De Bruyne before, and we do think he's probably not as effective or as good as some people have made him out to be here, especially this season.
Yeah.
You know, I think if Guardiola's been leaving him out because he doesn't feel he's motivated enough this season.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of pointed the finger. You remember Guardiola came out a few weeks ago and said the appetite's not there, the hunger's not there.
We're happy flowers.
Yes, and who got left out? De Bruyne.
Right.
I think he was pointing the finger at De Bruyne. But if he's not in the team, Eamon, you lose a hell of a lot. Like against Spurs, they really weren't a threat. And someone like Haaland, as you said, De Bruyne has made 15 of those goals. Is that the stat? Yes. Or he's made 15 goals this season.
No, he's made 15 goals of Haaland's 25.
Well, there you go. You know, so those two have got to play together.
Right.
But to go back to the argument about Haaland, he made the second goal, Eamon. He did really well for the second goal.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. No, I think he's a really...
For good and done. So I agree totally with John. He is effective and he has improved Man City. But if they're going to get the best out of him, they've got to get the ball from wide areas in quickly when he's making those runs, or as John said, maybe not overdo it in midfield with sideways pass and get him the ball as quickly as possible.
Right.
I'm going to be at the Emirates on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to watching him closely, and we'll talk about him again next week. I've not seen him play live, Eamon.
No, that's great. Chelsea West Ham, John. We were talking during the match. I watched it, you watched it, and it was a good point for David Moyes and West Ham, which I don't think anyone in football would begrudge David Moyes a good result. He's such a good lad. The match was at West Ham, of course, but Chelsea took the lead. João Felix, who's there on loan from Atletico, he scored after 15, 16 minutes, and then West Ham got their equaliser, and that was the end of it. Chelsea have spent a lot of money, but you saw one player in particular that you thought was a proper midfield player.
Yeah, that was Fernandes, Eamon, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Chelsea first of all, played very well in the first half, Eamon. And to be fair to West Ham really, really picked it up in the second half and deserved a draw in it. But I think the Chelsea team was settling down, Eamon. I think he's got so many players. I don't think he knows, and I certainly wouldn't know, the best 11 at the moment.
Oh, he's got 28 first-team players. 28 first-team players.
You won't. I don't think you're going to get that. But there were signs that they were looking like a team, especially in the first half.
Yes.
And they've one or two other players to come in. I think he's got and it's a big job for Potter because he's got to find out. And he has to give them first team football to really find out. So I think you'll see a good few different teams.
Yes.
With Chelsea for him to find out exactly what his best teams are. But there was a couple of players in it. Definitely that player I mentioned I thought was very good.
Fernandez. He played in the Argentina World Cup team.
Yeah, he's very good, and he's the best I've seen at controlling the midfield at this particular stage. Now I've got to see more of him, but that's what he looked like to me. So I think they've got some talented players.
John, there was an article by Graham Souness in the Sunday Times of the weekend. Declan Rice, what do you reckon?
Yes, I read the article, Liam. Yeah, I read the article, and I thought Graham was spot on.
Okay. He was saying, what's all the fuss about? He's not a great midfield player.
Yeah, it depends how you put it out,
Liam. John, let me just explain. I read the article too. What Graham said effectively was, to be a great midfield player, you have to do three things. You've got to be able to stop the attacks, you've got to create goals, and you've got to score goals. And Graham said, he doesn't do two of the three things you need to do to be called a great midfield player. That's what Graham said, isn't it? In a nutshell, John. Yeah.
Well, I agree with what Graham said. I think Rice is a very, very valuable player.
Yes.
I don't think he's a great midfield player. He's very good at what he does because he covers the ground well. He breaks up attacks. But he doesn't dictate a game, he doesn't score goals. Right. And I think Graham was absolutely right when he says that.
Liam, what do you think?
Well, I think you said three things there, Eamon.
Yes.
John was ticked all the boxes in those three. That's John Giles, right?
Yes.
He ticked all the boxes in those three.
Yeah.
I maybe ticked two of them.
Yeah.
I couldn't really
attacking
defend.
Boxes, yeah.
I couldn't really defend. I couldn't tackle a dinner, Eamon, right? So you probably ticked one of them, okay?
Yeah.
We were three midfield players.
Yeah.
You were creative. You could pass the ball and so forth.
Yeah.
Rice, I think, as John described, he does maybe 1.5 of them. And they're talking about him worth £120 million,
Yes.
So I thought it was a great article, and I thought it showed, and I think Souness also said that he was playing on pitches that they play on today, and I think we'd all agree in that. We all would have scored more goals.
Yeah, I mean, looking at I'm sure you'll get Liam's documentary, John, but it did remind us of the pitches that Liam was playing on for Arsenal in particular, but also for Juventus, but for when he's playing for Arsenal and the things they were able to do. I mean, young people today wouldn't have a clue how bad it really was and what great football was played on those pitches. But you'll see the documentary, and you'll make your own judgment. I'd like to move on, Liam, and ask.
Sorry, before you go on with, I totally agreed with Graham, and to be honest, I thought he was very, very brave.
Yes.
To make the article, I'm very honest to make the article because a lot of people wouldn't do that. And don't forget, we must remember too, it's coming from Graham Souness, who, in my opinion, had at least 2, maybe 2.5.
Yes.
On what he's talking about himself.
Yes. Yeah. No, and he's not afraid to voice his opinion, Graham, and it's very important to have that. And it's great players who really you want to hear from. Not people who played for Millwall. I just want to, Liam.
Don't be cruel to Richard Sadlier
now, last night's match, Liverpool. I wrote a piece of Star yesterday saying they were gone and they weren't coming back. John, what did you think? Liverpool scored 2 great breakaway goals, and I was hugely impressed with Núñez last night, John. Hugely. But more importantly, what did you think of the performance of both teams? Everton fighting for their life, and Liverpool trying to get a bit of respectability back.
Well, I thought Liverpool were good, Eamon. Well deserved it.
Yeah.
And from Everton's point of view, I think he's got a big job to do.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
I thought they were good. Salah got the goal. He got a bit of a break because as you were watching it, Everton hit the upright from a corner kick.
It did, yeah. Nearly went in.
He went straight down from that and scored.
Yeah.
But I think Everton, Dyche has a big job to do there, David. And from Liverpool's point of view, they did. There was a derby match. It's always tight.
Yes.
I thought they did really, really well last night. They were back almost, I think, to their best in what could have been a very, very awkward game for them, the Liverpool derby. But they did it well. They well deserved to win. And I think Dyche has a big, big job to do there.
Yeah, you saw a couple of Liverpool's new signings, Gakpo, who they signed from PSV in Holland, and Bajcetic, which is a young, slim lad playing in midfield. You liked him a lot.
Yeah, he looks like he's a very young lad, Eamon, I believe, is he?
Yeah, he looks about 17.
Yeah, he looks like a kid, all right. He's a bit to go yet. I mean, he showed a great... it looks like he's going to have a good future. I don't think he's ready for what Liverpool need at the moment.
Yes, yeah.
Eamon, but I thought Liverpool were good. This was a big match for them. They haven't been playing well. They showed their spirit. I thought they were back to their best in spirit sense to do what needs to be done in what could have been a very, very difficult game for them. I thought they won well.
Now, John, Manchester United Leeds badly need points. So do United. United are third in the table. I have it in front of me, and it's beginning to look like Ten Hag is a good coach who knows what he's doing. He hasn't got the money to spend and won't get it from the Glazers because they're looking to get rid of the club. Still, what did you make of the match? Because you had skin in that game.
Well, I thought Leeds for a long period of the game, were the better team.
Right.
They couldn't put it away, and I think when they're put up under pressure, Leeds at the moment, well, not at the moment, for a while now, at the back, they're not good at the back game.
Yeah.
United took their goals well, but mostly Leeds were attacking, mostly.
Yes.
Say for 70 minutes. And again, they don't have a great finisher either.
No.
But the energy was there. They were outplaying Manchester United in certain periods of the game in a big way, but didn't have to finish. And ultimately, when United got on top to attack, they scored relatively easy, in my opinion, and it was sort of a typical Leeds performance, Eamon.
Yeah.
They were go, were on top for good periods of the game, but weren't able to finish, and Manchester United were able to finish when they got the chances near the end of the game.
Okay, and finally, Liam, Marcus Rashford has been around now for a few years. He's a young guy. I like him for some of the things he's done off the pitch. He seems a good type of lad, and he's scoring goals for fun now. He's scoring a lot of goals. And Manchester United, he scored again this weekend. I think it's 10 on the bounce he scored. What do you make of him?
Yeah, it's good to see him back playing really well again. He is a good lad. You're right. He works hard. He kind of lost his confidence, I think, under a couple of managers at Manchester United. But this manager now that I got, Ten Hag, he seems to be kind of feeling that he has a responsibility to the team. And I saw an interview by Harry Maguire after the game, was saying he's now chipping in with headers, which he didn't really score in the past. So he's getting in the right areas and the right positions. But I would agree with John. I saw the game. Leeds were a bit unlucky. De Gea had a really good game. He stopped Leeds 2 or 3 times. And had Leeds got the first goal, they might have gone on to win it. I wasn't that impressed with Manchester United. I thought the win flattered them a bit. But Rashford is on form. There's no doubt about that. And look, United are not out of this league yet, Eamon. You know, there's
absolutely not.
An awful long way to go. There's so many points to go. I think I thought it might have been between two, but United are giving themselves a chance now with the way they've strung a lot of results together.
Okay, well, I hope Arsenal do the business for you tomorrow. It'll be a fascinating match, Manchester City and Arsenal. I think it's at the Emirates tomorrow, and then it's the second game is at the Etihad. Very grateful to John and Liam for joining us on the stand today, and again, congratulations to Liam on a superb documentary that you must see if you haven't seen it already.